Morning, folks. Sorry I'm a little late. I'll put myself in a naughty state. Had the postman at the door. I had to sign for a letter, so and they're never a good type. So we'll have a wee look and see what it is after the show. Okay. Anyway, here we go. Welcome aboard, folks. Hey, who we got? Linda, Tina, Lorna, Barbara, Nancy, Stephen. Who are here? We've got Ruth. We've got Jim. We've got David. Hi, morning, David. We've got Baby Bump. Who else? William, Jordy, Eddie, Last Braveheart, Lorraine, Thomas, Jane. Hi, Avril. Hi, Stephen. Hi, Linda. Hi, Al. Right. Hey, new week started. Give you a couple of minutes for Mary's to get on. Well, starting for me. As I do a review show, I need Monday out the road before I can review it. So, anyway, that's us up and running again this week. We should be alright for the rest of the week, one hopes. So let's get this broadcast underway. Here it comes home. Indy Truck Davy. Put the truck in at home in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, where it is overcast, 8 degrees, dry at the moment, really quite warm for this time of year, so no bad. That's the weather forecast for Salisbury, North Lanarkshire. You want to know what the weather forecast is like where you are? Look out your head, bloody Monday. Alright, this is a news review for the 23rd of the 1st, 2023, from the colony of Scotland. Now, Monday started with two main teams in the rags. BMA chief says we need 2,000 more doctors in our NHS here in Scotland, and Bojo the Clown's finances are under the spotlight. Okay, on the 2,000 more doctors required for our NHS, British Medical Association chief here in Scotland, Ian Kennedy, says we're 2,000 doctors short right across the board, including all disciplines within the NHS, from GP practices to surgeons. And Mr. Kennedy says the NHS is in crisis and that doctors are at breaking point. Now, as you all know, I've been asking folks to tell me of the situation at the local hospitals, and I've also had folks tell me their experiences with their GP practices. So far, I've had all the information that's been sent to me, folks. I've had two people who have had a bad experience recently with the NHS. Everybody else, when they're propped up at A&E, they've been seen sharply, promptly, had their diagnosis, had their treatment, and back out the door rapidly. Or if they're being admitted, they've been admitted quite quickly as well. As the GP services, as you know, I get a lot of talk about GP services, and we're being told in the rags that it's 2 and 3 weeks at a time to get an appointment, whereas Davey picks the phone up and Davey gets an appointment right away, his wife picks the phone up, his wife gets an appointment right away. And news people have been telling me the bloody same things. So I've been getting anecdotal evidence from you, the viewers, on the situation in your hospitals, and from you, the viewers, on the situation with your GP services. And I have to say, overwhelmingly, it has been positive. Now, Ian Kennedy, Dr. Ian Kennedy, head of the British Medical Association in Scotland, where's the Scottish Medical Association? He claims the NHS is in crisis, and he wants the First Minister and the Health Minister to declare an NHS crisis a national emergency. Now, while doing this survey with you guys on NHS services, I've been asked a few times why I was doing it. Was it not a bit ghoulish, or do I not trust our politicians? Well, the answer to that one on the politicians is yes, I do trust our politicians. The mainstream media are trying to force our First Minister and our Health Minister to declare the NHS in crisis. Our First Minister and our Health Minister repeatedly tell us that our NHS is under pressure and not in crisis, and they won't declare a national emergency because it isn't a national emergency. So yes, I trust the politicians. I listen very carefully to what the politicians are telling me on the NHS, and they're telling me it is not in crisis, it is under pressure. I also have anecdotal evidence from people within the healthcare sector. I've got paramedics reporting back to me on queues of ambulances which don't exist, or if they are in queues, it's only offload time. And sometimes during that offload wait, somebody will come out and check the patient over in an ambulance. I don't see it wrong with that. It seems pretty normal to me. And I've got nurses in the NHS telling me that the pressure is there. The biggest problem is getting people who are fit out of hospital because of Brexit and what's been created in the social care sector. And they tell me that pressures are not any worse than what they are in the most winter seasons. This is nurses telling me this. Yep, they're under pressure. Biggest pressure is bed blocking, but it's no any worse than any other winter season apparently. But as we know, the mainstream media are working on behalf of our imperial masters who want to pass off our NHS and sell it off, as they are doing in England and Wales. So, as you know, folks, I've been doing this survey for a couple of weeks now. I've even visited a few hospitals myself. I've got plans to visit one and get another one tomorrow, actually. Wednesday when I'm off. Tomorrow. So, the anecdotal evidence I'm getting is the mainstream media are at it. There is no doubt the NHS is under pressure. There's nobody denying that, not even the First Minister or the Health Minister, or the people that work in it. But what I'm being told by the people that work in the NHS is it's not any worse than any other winter, where respiratory disorders and diseases are always putting the National Health Service under pressure. I'm even being told they're coping with COVID, along with flu, reasonably well. There you go. Right, the other story is on Boris Johnson's finances. Bojo the Clown is back in many ways and one. Anyway, Bojo is claimed that the guy Bojo placed as chair of the BBC state propaganda machine arranged an £800,000 loan for Bojo prior to Bojo appointing him head of the BBC. There are calls for an inquiry, and an inquiry got underway yesterday into the matter, actually. What went come of it? I recommend this, recommend that, but no action against Bojo, no action against anybody. This is a cronyism thing. Thanks for that, Alston. Alston, it's a cronyism thing. You get me a loan £800,000 and I'll give you the top job at the BBC, which pays about 150 grand a year. Wow. So that's the story there. The I newspaper also reports that this story breaking could force BBC staff into strike action because apparently BBC staff don't like Richard Sharp, who was appointed as their new gaffer, and they don't like the direction in which he is taking the corporation. But as we know, the corporation is nothing more now than a government propaganda machine, even when it comes to things that they're good at, like costume dramas and comedy. Absolutely everything has got a subliminal Union Jack placed on the set somewhere. Oof. Right, moving on Monday, and more Tory sleaze and potential criminality. Ex-Chancellor Nadine Zahawi pays £4.8 million to HMRC to cover tax avoided on £27 million worth of assets, which Mr. Zahawi seemed to have forgot that he had. Mental. Right. Anyway, the Metro newspaper rips it pish. And it says, a Chancellor who didn't know how to do his tax return. You couldn't make it up, But as millions of UK citizens rush to get their tax returns in by the 31st of January. Can I please remind all you people out there who are about to fill in and submit your tax returns? Mind check down the back of the sofa just in case there's 27 million quid's worth of assets down there that you forgot you owned. Alright, pay your bloody taxes. Except for corporation tax if you're a small businessman. If Amazon doesn't pay corporation tax, why the fuck should small businessmen? Right, moving on, Monday. And it's reported that Bojo the Clown has left Davos, where he was trying to keep himself relevant, and to spread the word about an up-and-coming book. Anyway, well, the Bojo show has now moved to Ukraine, where we're being told the public purse has financed a visit from Bojo the Clown to make promises to Zelensky that Bojo is not in a position to make. I have seen nothing saying that he was there officially on behalf of the government, as he doesn't have. You get 1.8 million under the kitchen sink, have you just? He doesn't have an official role in government. So why the public purse is picking up this, I have no idea. But anyway, he's out there to tell Zelensky that we, the people of the United Kingdom, stand in solidarity with Ukraine, and that we will stand side by side and give them money from the magic money tree and weapons from the magic weapon machine for as long as we need to. So there you have it. Bojo making promises that he's not in a position to keep. Anyway, you get pictures there in the Looney Ragdy Express sitting across with Zelensky with a couple of wee Union Jacks on one side and a couple of wee Ukrainian flags on the other side, and smiles, while bombs allegedly rain down all around them. So there you go, Bojo's in Ukraine at the expense of the public purse. Mental. Also Monday, SNP leader at Westminster, Stephen Flynn, tells PM Sunak his integrity is on the line if he doesn't clean house. Now, on his appointment as Prime Minister, Sunak promised integrity, professionalism and accountability. None of that has appeared so far. Anyway, Stephen Flynn tells Sunak to sack Zahawi and remove the whip from Bojo the Clown. Sunak will ignore Flynn's calls to clean house. Why? Because the Scottish MP. He doesn't count in any way or form. We vote for them, we send them down there, they are ignored. They might be the third biggest party in that parliament, but they're still ignored. Right, moving on, Monday, and energy retailers hit back at Grant Shapps, the business minister. Now, Grant Shapps tells the energy companies to stop forcing people on to prepaid meters. And the energy companies, the big six, have told Sharp, get it up, ye. If we don't put them onto prepaid meters, they will rack up huge debts, and either it'll come out of the public purse, or it'll be in the form of increased charges to all our other users. This is what happens when you don't put your foot down with these commercial outlets. Rather than allow them to quadruple electricity prices and just cap it and say that's the maximum you can charge anybody for any amount of electricity per unit cost, they're allowing these muppets to run a savvy. And now the big six are threatening the government because the government's telling them to stop forcing poorer people onto prepaid meters. Prepaid meters are very expensive, and if you've no money to put in them, you're no lucky. As it turns out, a lot of people who have been put on these prepaid meters, especially monthly, people are paid monthly, so who have been paid through standing order or direct debit, have been getting cut off because they don't have the cash flow during the month to be able to keep topping the bloody thing up. But now they're threatening the government and telling us if the government doesn't butt out of the market, they will force up prices and charges to other users, as some people can't afford their electricity bills. It's nearly getting time just to take the electricity and fuck them. What we need is at the end of 1 month for everybody who gets a direct debit bill for everybody at the end of 1 month, just 1 month, to bring them to their fucking knees, as nobody pays it. Nobody pays their direct debit for 1 month. Watch them fall on their knees and beg us to hook back up with them. Because you can't switch providers anymore to punish a provider. There's no point. None. There is no competition in the market. So they can do what they want, and what they want is to gouge every last penny out of everybody. It's crippling our council services. It's crippling our NHS. It's crippling the fucking economy. Our food producers are shutting down early because they can't afford the gas and the electricity to keep us paid. This is fucking madness. And the fact that we have a corrupt Tory government no putting its foot on top of this situation is par for the fucking course, to be honest with you. If you're not angry with this stuff, folks, I really don't know what's wrong with you. But I know you, my audience, are angry. But the general public, the malaise, the lack of action. You know, when it comes to consumer issues, the UK public has got huge muscle. This is a consumer issue. It's time to grab it by the balls if the government's not got it. Okay. Moving on Monday, I'm doing that road, and a move that shows that Rishi Sunak is not a leader and is not the Prime Minister and has no cojones. It is reported that Mr. Sunak, while on a hospital visit to somewhere in Northamptonshire, I think it was, he tells the press that he's going to refer the Zahawi case to an independent advisor on the ministerial code. Now, as we know, Sunak doesn't have a permanent independent advisor on the ministerial code because people keep knocking the job back. Because, let's face it, there's no integrity, no honesty, and the ministerial code really couldn't any merits. Nothing. Anyway, Sunak tells us he's going to refer Zahawi to an independent advisor on the ministerial code to look into Zahawi's tax affairs and see if it breaks the ministerial. His behaviour has broke the ministerial code. Oh, very interesting. Rather than sack him. He also tells us that Zahawi will stay in office and he will stay in position as Tory party chair while the inquiry goes on. So we're back here again, folks. This is another one. So we're back at Ask My Pal If I'm a Liar and wait for the Magnus report, because it's Sir Louis Magnus who's been appointed to look into this affair. So we're back where we were before. It's like it was with the Sue Gray report. You know what I mean? Wait for the Sue Gray report. Wait for the Sue Gray report. Now we're in a position where it's going to be wait for the Magnus report. Wait for the Magnus report. Wait for the Magnus report. Right. So that's where we're at again. There'll probably be a general election before the Magnus report comes out, and Zahawi will probably have puddled off into the moonlight or into the sunlight. No consequences of his actions. In fact, he'll probably join his money in Gibraltar and never come back. A bit like Miss Moan did when I said she was going to go to the hill. She went out the hill with 29 million quid of her money in her pocket. Right, moving on. Monday. Anyway. Also, Monday, an urgent question session took place at Westminster over the Zahawi tax scandal. And all sorts of silly questions were asked. Guess what the one answer was, folks? Yep, you get it. Wait for the Magnus report. And Lord Louis Magnus has only just been, or Sir Louis Magnus has only just been appointed. There's a session in the Parliament, an urgent question they ask about Zahawi and his position in the tax situation. And less than an hour after the announcement that was going to go to an independent advisor on the ministerial code, we are being told, wait for the Magnus report. You couldn't make it up well today. Also Monday, Labour's David Lammy says that a Labour government would move us a wee bit closer and align us better with the EU, and they're looking for a closer security and intelligence ties with the EU than what they've got under the current deal. Now, folks, I don't know if you know this, but 2024 is the year when the UK goes back to the EU and sits down and looks at how things have went since since we left the EU a couple of years ago, right? And to try and iron out any glitches in the deal. So a general election now would see a Labour government probably sit at the table for the negotiations, and it's beginning to look as polls show in England that people would rather go back to the EU. EU will take them back at this point in time, but they would rather go back to the EU. They realise they've made a mistake. Then they can at least start opening negotiations on closer alignment, because I can't see the EU 27, 28 as it's soon to be, and that's no Scotland we're talking about. We can't see them actually want the UK back at this point in time. And when the UK does eventually reapply, when England, because we'll be away by then, we'll already be back in. When England does eventually apply to reapply to join the EU, there will be conditions. For a start, they're going to have to set up a proper democracy. This first past the post bullshit's not going to fly. So that would be the first of the EU's demands, that they ditch first past the post and go to a proper democratic system. But would the EU want them back? At this point in time, not at all. Would they be happy for close alignment to make business easier for everybody across the park? No. The EU supply chains have already realigned. They really don't give a damn about business here in the UK. That's the UK government's fault that business here in the UK is in trouble. So it is. So there you have it. Right. Also Monday, more problems in Northern Ireland, as we're told that there's going to be problems for a budget for Northern Ireland for next year, because there's no sitting ministers to be able to administer that budget and work out what to do with their block grant. So apparently more problems in Northern Ireland, and you can probably wait at the doors of the DUP. But while we're talking about Northern Ireland, over the weekend the Taoiseach of Southern Ireland tells the press he thinks it was bloody stupid of the UK government to go and negotiate the protocols without consulting the people of Northern Ireland. Consultation is something you do in a democracy. We don't live in a fucking democracy if you're Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. We're fucking colonies, with imperial will imposed upon us, as we've just seen with Viceroy General Governor Jack and his Section 35 order. Simple as that. So, more trouble at Mill in Northern Ireland, and the Irish Taoiseach says it was bloody stupid. What did Westminster think they were up to? Actually forcing the protocols on the people of Northern Ireland without consulting on the creation of the protocols in the first effing place. Both mental. Absolutely mental. Right, meanwhile, back here in Scotland, fire at Jenners sees several firefighters hurt and one in intensive care, if I remember correctly. And to be honest with you, it would appear that we are being put back in our box whether we like it or not, because even when you jump to Scottish politics and the mainstream media, we'll get A&E waiting times improve. We get the new figures out this morning, but I'll talk about that tomorrow. And new fox hunting bill on the cards. More crap about the GRR, and more net zero help needed for councils for bus services apparently. That's what's going on in Scotland. That's it. That's all the coverage we have for your MSN. We do have a new deal with the courts that's going to avert strikes and hike or put up fees for legal aid to lawyers working in that sector, which isn't bad. But that's it. That's it for January 23rd here in Scotland. Fire at Jenners, new Foxland bill, councils need more help for buses, and was that the last one there? Aye, a new deal over Scots courts legal aid fees. Right, let's look and see what the rags have got, folks. I hope you found today's broadcast interesting and informative. What's the rags got for us today? So, more sleaze, more corruption, energy companies threatening the government. It's all going to hell in a handbag. Right, Scottish papers, general firefighter critical, and a Darvelous result. Firefighter critical in Jenner blaze. The Daily Express has firefighter is critically injured in Jenner's blaze. The Herald has council plans self-service libraries with no books. We need to see how that one works, eh? The Scotsman has 2 investigations launched into Tory sleaze allegations, and that is plumes of smoke from Jenner fire also makes the front page of the Scotsman. However, the lead story looks at 2 investigations launched into Tory sleaze allegations. Rishi Sunak orders probe into Nadine Zahawi's taxpayers, and public appointments watchdog will look into BBC Chairman Richard Sharp's appointment following claims he helped Boris Johnson secure a loan. The Eye has Zahawi faces sack as PM demands answers on Tory chair. No, that's not what Sunak said yesterday. Some of these rags make it up. The Times has PM orders inquiry into Zahawi tax avoidance. So they're clearly stating it was avoidance, so there's obviously guilt here. The Metro has Rish dish the dirt. And that's Rishi Sunak dish the dirt on Zahawi. The Daily Record has Darvelous. And this is the story that 6th-tier football team, Darvel, spanked Aberdeen Football Club, who are in the Scottish highest tier. Now, football, 1-0 in the Scottish Cup. And that's the wonder of the Cup. That's the magic of the Cup. And I have to say, I watched 45 minutes of highlights for it last night, and they didn't just beat them 1-0. They beat them comprehensively 1-0. There should have been more. What else we got? The Telegraph has killer posed as child to claim asylum and murder again in UK. And the other loony rag, the Scottish Daily Fail. It's running away. What the hell is the West waiting for? In an extraordinary, powerful and emotional rally cry, former PM implores our allies to give Ukraine all the weapons it needs to win now. Bojo, you're an idiot. Folks, let me explain this one to you before we go any further. Right, there is such things as, excuse me, my hair this morning, such things as offensive and defensive weapons. Now, if we start giving them offensive weapons, then that would mean that we are interfering in that particular conflict, and that would allow Putin to escalate it into a wider field than just Ukraine, and could lead to World War III. Right, the National has Scots say a big no to union jackery. Just 16% of people in our poll say they prefer it to a saltire on Scottish produce. Comment, this isn't about a flag, it's about our reputation. So basically, Scottish retailers, Scottish people and Scottish manufacturers don't like the union jackery going on, because after all, when you get right down to it, especially in food and drink, Scotland has a better reputation than anywhere else in the UK and should proudly be displayed as Scottish. And what's the Star got for us today? I'll skip by it, it was quite early on. It's probably a football related story of the day with the Star, you know either. The Star has shock as Don's dumped out of Cup by Darvel, and Capital Horror, firefighter critically injured in Jenner blaze. and let's hope the fella recovers soon. Okay. Now, that's what I've got for you today, folks. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it informative. There wasn't much in the Scottish news, to be honest with you, and that's why most of this report is Anglo-centric. But way it goes, you know, they control the media, they control the narrative. It's always been that way. So, look after yourself, folks. Support the independent media, support Broadcasting Scotland, Independence Live, Indie Live Radio. And I want to thank the people who sent a super chat today, Brian Dyer, Dewar, and Alistair. As you know, the money goes to charity, folks, but only make donations if you can afford that. Only buy a super chat if you can afford that. So thanks very much for the super chats. And as I say, look after yourselves. Support the independent media, Broadcasting Scotland, Independence Live, Indie Live Radio, Caledonian Media, the Truth Radio, iScot Magazine, and the National Newspaper. Support independent bloggers and bloggers. That's a crowdfunder on the go, and you can afford to throw a penny or two in the pot, like you've got charity crowdfunder on the go at the moment. Then please do, but only if you can afford that. Times are tough. Right. Also, remember, winter flu season, there's 4 new variants of COVID flying about the UK at the moment. I'll do a wee report on that at some point, probably a day short. So, follow the last 2 bits of guidance. Clean hands and surfaces regularly, mask up in enclosed public spaces, especially if you're under the weather, mask up. Just as a matter of courtesy to your neighbours, your friends, your community, your family. All right. Now, look after yourselves. That's the week started. We'll be back tomorrow to tell you all again. Bye for now.